Okay, Travis, you think that period where you were out, you were discovered, you came back walking along a road near Heber, right near Heber, 5 nights after you were allegedly abducted. What do you recall about coming to?
Well, I just woke up, still had some residual pain and, the grogginess, but there was a light above me. I was lying on the cold pavement and I looked to see where the light was coming from. And just as I looked in that direction, it went off. So I don't know whether they had a light shining on me that was turned off or the door closed or something, but it was just for a brief instant that I saw it there hovering, and then it shot straight up into the sky, silently this time.
Travis,
Because
would you could
the craft in the woods was making some very bizarre sound.
Yeah, I've read that account that it was a humming and then high pitched, kind of on both ends of the spectrum, high and low, like a rumble.
Yeah.
How large was this craft?
Not big, 20, 25 feet in diameter, maybe bigger. It's nothing to judge by.
And there were 2 beings on there that had alien form, but there was another that was more human, as you describe it.
Yeah, I think that perhaps my lack of cooperation, they got the idea to have something look more human looking to, gain my confidence, because I wasn't about to cooperate with these, what I took to be monsters. And so I did cooperate with the human looking being and others like him. Now, I don't know whether they somehow are in association with beings that look human or were able to simulate that appearance or even had some relationship with some Earth-based agency. But I was only too eager to go along with them.
Travis, it's been 50 years. Whatever happened to you that you think happened to you, that you claim happened to you, have you suffered any ill health effects in those intervening years?
Well, I was certainly very anxious about that possibility, but it turned out to be quite the opposite. For, like 20 years, I didn't call in sick to work a single time. And I was working like 12 hours a day just to sort of shut out the memory.
Travis, what have you been doing in those years since? You were on that logging crew when you were 22 years old. After all this broke, how did you continue your life as you knew it?
Well, I made myself go back to work in the woods, to face it. I took, my wife with me and weapons, but I built up the courage to where I could go back again. And then eventually I just went to work here at the local paper mill.
So that's what you've been doing in the years since. This never escapes you, though. This is your story. This will be the first line someday, sadly, in your obituary. I mean, it's the most documented that I can think of alleged alien abduction.
Yeah, and 6 other men standing by that story. At least that's the status today. It happened, and by every measure that you could judge by.
Would you say that you were a believer in extraterrestrials or UFOs before this all happened?
Yeah, I think everybody's heard of it before and thought, yeah, that could be.
There's been this story that just a few weeks before this all happened, that NBC aired a primetime UFO special, a made-for-TV movie, about an alleged alien abduction, and that some have speculated that that might have given you the idea to concoct a story. What would you say to those people?
Well, that's just a coincidence, and if you're grasping at straws, if you're looking for some way to justify a disbelief, you'll find it.
And you can understand why people will try to discredit the story, because to believe it raises such profound questions about us, the universe, religion, everything.
Yes, but I would counter with the challenge: are you entering the proposition knowing that there are trillions upon trillions of stars just like our sun out there with planets going around them? And now astronomers conclude that probably every star has about a dozen planets, and all of those are empty except ours. And we're alone in the universe, and nothing like this has ever occurred anywhere else. That's the challenge I'm asking. You know, that's the preposterous claim that would have to be made. Is that what you're saying? That we are alone in this vast, vast universe?
Travis, on that point, I have to completely concur. I agree with you. I think that we become a little self-absorbed and think that we're it, and I'm not sure we've got that right. Back to what happened to you. Take me back to when you finally came to and you're wandering a road in Heber. The craft is taken off above you. What are your first thoughts, and are you even thinking clearly at that point?
Well, I've just my first thought was to just get help, you know, to find a phone and call my family.
And you did.
And I did.
It seems that everybody, you know, there was search parties for you for 5 days. They were looking for you frantically. They found no signs of any kind of scarring in the woods where this allegedly happened. They're thinking if there was this kind of craft, it would have done some damage, some disturbance to that clearing in the forest where it happened. They didn't find anything.
Actually, you know, there was no, you know, things blown apart like lightning or, you know, caught fire. They did find traces of magnetism, an unusual disturbance, and also radiation, and even evidence in the effects on the trees. Trees that had rapidly increased thickness of growth rings. The tree will produce one ring for each year, regardless of conditions, but it's thicker or thinner based on a variety of factors. And the trees surrounding where the object hovered show rapid growth for a number of years, a burst of growth. And later, another researcher discovered that after the Chernobyl nuclear accident, they found similar surge in thickening rings around the pine trees around that location. Now, in there, the radiation was not at a central source; it was, you know, dispersed. So the tree rings were concentric around the diameter of the tree, but the effect is kind of paradoxical. You would think, well, wouldn't radiation kill living things? Why would it stimulate this reaction? But, you know, scientific research, these are papers that are been published in scientific journals, confirm that's the effect that happened at Chernobyl too.
Travis, when you were found, there were people trying to get you to take a polygraph originally. Did you ever take one?
Well, you know, there were some amateurs, and I was so full of stress at every mention of it that, but I did take tests from the same state police polygraph examiner that tested the crew, and another examiner who did testing for the CIA and the government agencies, and I passed all 5 of them. So
they keep reporting on this UFO group and the Inquirer doing this Jack McCarthy, a polygrapher, freelance polygrapher. I don't even know what that means. He claims now that McCarthy concluded that Travis was engaged in a gross deception and had even been intentionally holding his breath in an attempt to beat the machine.
Erratic responses were um, just due to stress, and these claims are desperate. You can looking for a way to justify a preformed uh, conclusion.
Travis, do you think that now, because the government is starting to open the books a little bit, I won't say a lot, on what's been happening in our skies for quite some time, are people more receptive to your story than before? Or is it the same degree of skepticism no matter when you encounter it?
A much higher degree of acceptance going on right now. But generally, people would feel kind of foolish to claim that we're alone in the universe. Maybe it's just a growing awareness of the true nature of our life here on this planet.
I think there's such a leap. I think that the conundrum is it's such a leap from, are we alone? Have we possibly been visited? To, I know a guy who was not only saw this, but was taken aboard their craft. That is a whole nother level that some people, I'm not sure they can wrap their brain around it.
Well, it is, does require an examination of the evidence. And that's what I've said over and over again over the years, is first, just examine the evidence, with an open mind. This McCarthy guy you mentioned, he was caught in a number of gross deceptions, basically falsifying, and some of his Confederates, same thing, outright lying. Like, for instance, one of the things that prompted Mike's resentment temporarily was this guy comes to him and says, I've been trying to deal with Travis to fess up that this was all just a big prank, but we can't meet his price. And so he was thinking that Mike, trying to get Mike to think that I was going to make up a story just to get this big payday or something. But here's what they didn't know. I recorded the interview with this guy. I was not negotiating any such thing. I was telling him, this is what happened. It's for real. You leave me alone. And I hung up on him. So basically, he was a liar, trying to use his own little hoax to alienate Mike and get him to contradict his earlier testimony.
Travis, in the 50 years since, you have to have wondered, why me?
Yeah, I did. I totally resist the urge to think of it as being chosen or special in any way. I was just the one foolish enough to get out of the truck and approach these things. Part of what provoked this envy in the youngest guy in the crew is people would say, Steve, how come you didn't get out and go up to the craft? And he said, because I had a stronger mind. He says it was mind control, and I was able to resist it, and Travis was not. And I just humorously said, no, Steve, it was because they were trying to get us to get out of the truck, and I was the one, to stay in the truck, and I was the one that resisted the mind control. I didn't believe there was any mind control going on there, but it was kind of that jealousy thing working up, girls say, how come you didn't jump out and run over there, and then he has to say, well, I had a stronger mind. I resisted mind control.
Did you ever think that there was a point where you thought, I'm going to change my name, I am going to move, I'm going to vanish, I want to get away from this?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that, and a lot more lately too. I'm on the verge of just ceasing to speak about this. Maybe include some new evidence in a final publication and then just say, it's all right there. And if you want anything more than that, you're not getting it from me. I'm done. There it is. Take it or leave it.
So we're now to article of faith, where you've got to either believe you or not believe you, and you don't really care.
Yeah, that's kind of where what it comes down to. When I realize there's nothing I can do, here's the evidence. And like I said, the same kind of evidence that would convict someone of murder in an American court of law is brushed aside by people because they choose not to believe it. Well, that's their problem.
Travis, are you a religious man?
Yeah, I think I am. My younger brother went on a mission for our church, and my oldest sister was a Relief Society teacher. Our families.
Were you raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yeah, we have been.
So would you swear to Almighty God that this is the truth, what happened to you?
I swear through everything I know that's true. I don't believe in swearing to God. I mean, that's something a little bit. But yeah, I swear that this happened just as I've reported it.
When somebody comes up to you and asks you, Travis, what did you learn from this? What would you tell them?
I think I've learned a huge amount about what it takes for people. What do they believe? What do they base their beliefs on? The whole thing of logic versus emotion, and people who don't want to believe something find a way to not believe it, and a person that's more objective and fact-based and sticks to the rules of logic, they'll come up with a different conclusion.
Do you think you've been treated fairly in the press?
I think I've been treated in a balanced way in many cases, like this interview and others. I'm not afraid to answer questions about people making claims, and because if we went further, like I've been able to say, many of the people attacking me turned out to be perpetrating falsehoods of their own in an effort to gain attention. So there's been times where there was one case where it was an ambush interview. We're just here to talk about it, and it was all about attacking me.
Travis, how much interest has the government spent on your story? Did the government have they come to you to learn more about your story, or have they ignored it?
I have spoken privately with people in aerospace that have come to visit me, but in a non-official capacity. I think the government is actually, I've gone from agreeing with the people that were accusing the government of being engaged in this vast cover-up to an understanding that if the government has recovered technology, it would be a grave mistake to open the books, as people keep requesting, throw open the books, tell everybody what you got. Well, the reason being is that there are other powerful governments, our enemies on this planet, who have probably harvested similar technology here and there. We don't know the extent of what they've found, and they don't know the extent of what we found. And I think that we might increase the danger to ourselves, but if they were to throw open the books and tell everything they had, when China and Russia are not going to do the same, even if they pretended to.
This gets into the whole idea of if there are recovered craft, which some have claimed even under testimony before Congress, that we have recovered craft and we're trying to reverse engineer this stuff.
Yes, yes, and that's the the game of checkers that's going on there that um, people don't take into consideration when they think that our government should just throw open the books. When we've got other entities on this planet that would benefit enormously strategically if we were to do that.
Travis, based on what happened to you, alleged 50 years ago, do you fear visitors from somewhere else? Or do you think they do not intend us harm?
Fear of a recurrence at first. It took a lot of courage to return to the woods by myself. But once I analyzed the situation to realize that it wasn't a deliberate harming, that I acted in a foolish and unexpected way that got me injured, and that they were actually trying to help. And, just the fact that I was returned to the town nearest where this happened, where I could get help. I mean, if they had wanted to just cover up their own interaction, cover up the whole thing, they could have dumped my body on some asteroid somewhere, and the crew would be forever under suspicion of having hidden the body more effectively. And end of story. That would just kind of hush the whole thing up. But that's not what happened. They went to the trouble to return me to where I could get help.
So if you were faced with a quote unquote visitation again, you would not be frightened? You would not be scared of it? You would not fear it?
I would definitely be extremely agitated. just my history in connection with the whole thing. Because, you got to understand, these are my theories that I've had 50 years to philosophize about and come to these conclusions. We don't know anything for absolute certain, but I gotta say that if they had intentions of disposing of humans and taking over the planet, they've been around for decades and decades. It would happen overnight, and we'd never know what hit us. This kind of technology is not something where they're just going to, make vague appearances on the edge of verifiability and then plan for some sinister plot later on. I don't think that's what's going on there.
Finally, Travis, I want to give you the last word. Is there anything in your story that you've wanted to tell that either you haven't been asked or wanted to offer? And I give you that opportunity.
The understanding that I came to, which was quite a difference, to me, it started out as invading monsters to more of a highly developed, highly intelligent species that are observing us, that the sightings that we're having are not accidents, not where they're slapping their forehead and saying, oh, dang, a human spotted me again. We'll have to be more careful next time. I think they're far too intelligent for that. When there are sightings, I think now that it's not an accident, it's intentional and measured in its degree of provability or deniability as a sort of a conditioning program to make us aware of the fact that we're not alone in the universe.
Travis Walton. Travis, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks. Thank you for a fair interview.
That's our job. It's supposed to be a fair hearing. I'm not going to stand in judgment of you or your story. We just ask questions and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, well, doubt is frustrating to me, but I've come to live with it. And what happened, happened, and take it or leave it, people.
I appreciate your time, Travis. Thank you.